Welcome, everybody. We're happy to see you all here this morning. And before we begin, I want to tell our folks that are tuning in by video, if you wouldn't mind, make sure you have your system muted until we call upon you. Well, we have a great program for you here today, and I think a lot of you are familiar with our guests, but I'm going to give you an introduction first of myself. My name is Joe Horrigan. I'm Vice President of Communications and Exhibits here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. More importantly, I'm here this morning to introduce you to our special guest as a part of our Heart of the Hall of Famer program. And this program is one that we really are very, very proud of because we use what we call our living assets here at the Hall of Fame, our Hall of Famers, to talk to you and interact with you, not about necessarily what they did as professional football athletes, but what made them Hall of Famers in everyday life, and how those skills and how those opportunities came and they can share with you so that hopefully you can use them in your life as you go forward in your careers and endeavors. Our guest this morning, his name is Franco Harris. And Franco Harris was a great running back, a Hall of Fame running back with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Drafted in 1972, he played 13 seasons with the Steelers and one with the Seattle Seahawks. He was the number 1 draft pick in 72. And he was the 4th rookie all time, 4th rookie ever to rush for 1,000 yards in his first season. Amazing, remarkable achievement in and of itself. But he did it 8 times during his career. Now, the game has changed a lot over the years, and when Franco was playing, running backs dominated the National Football League. And Franco was truly one of the greats during that period of time. He was Super Bowl MVP in Super Bowl IX, where he rushed for 158 yards. Now, think about that. Rushing for 158 yards is a tremendous accomplishment in any game. But when you're in the Super Bowl, this is the game. You're playing, the best teams are playing against each other. You're not gaining 158 yards against the worst team. You're gaining 158 yards against the best, the toughest competition in the most important game. There was a lot of milestone events in Franco's long career in professional football, but one that many, many people still remember, maybe calling it maybe the greatest single play in pro football history. It's referred to endearingly as the Immaculate Reception. And that again happened back in 1972 when the Steelers went to the playoffs for the first time in their entire history. This franchise began, the Steelers franchise began in 1933, and they were never in the playoffs until Franco Harris joined the team in 1972. And in one play, the final play of the game, in the playoff game against the Raiders, he was the receiver of an errant pass that he took in for a touchdown, a very controversial and debated touchdown before instant replay even existed, and defeated the Raiders, taking the Steelers to the playoffs for the first time. When Franco retired after his 13 seasons in pro football, he was 3rd all-time in rushing, having gained 12,120 yards and 91 touchdowns. That's an amazing number. Now think about this. When I say he was 3rd all-time, I mean 3rd since pro football or the National Football began in 1920. So we're talking about over 20,000 men that played this game. He was 3rd all-time in rushing as a running back. That's Franco in a very, very capsulized version of his pro football career. But Franco was much more than a pro football player. As you know, men retire from pro football at an early age. They don't play until they're 50 or 60 years old, so they have a whole career ahead of them. And Franco went back to what he had gone to Penn State for as a major in the food and hospitality industry, and started his own company where he has applied himself in that food service administration, first with a company called Franco's All Naturel, focusing on all natural products. And he's very, very much a part of the natural foods industry and the healthy foods industry, which as an athlete he can certainly have a great appreciation for, but this has been something that he has worked long and hard at. So I'm going to let him tell you a little bit about his post-pro football career as well. But I think for today's purposes, I think keep in mind that all of Franco's successes, whether as a professional athlete or in his life after pro football, have been a result of hard work, determination, and clear vision. So again, hopefully he'll address some of those things with us today. Now, before we bring up Franco Harris to have a few opening remarks, I'm going to show you a very short clip from some of Franco's playing days. I hope this will work when I hit this button.
Franco Harris rushed for more than 12,000 yards and scored 100 touchdowns. The Steelers' power back ran for more than 1,000 yards in a single season 8 times and was an 8-time Pro Bowl selection. Harris recorded 17 postseason touchdowns and was the MVP of Super Bowl IX.
Well, if that didn't wake you up, nothing will. At this time, let me introduce you to our guest of honor this morning, Pittsburgh Steelers great Hall of Fame running back, Franco Harris.
Thank you, Joe. And good morning, everyone. Does this beat class? Come on, boy. You know, I always ask myself, why am I here? One day I was sitting in the seats where you're sitting at right now. But today I am here. And it's been quite a journey getting here. Very exciting journey. And it all started way back, and I talked about being in high school. Had a great high school, great sports, great academics. And because of that, I was able to go to college. Now, when I was being recruited out of high school to go to college, you know what they say about football players and intelligence. Sometimes it doesn't go hand in hand. But so back in my day when you were going to college, they gave the football players a one-sentence test. I'm not sure if you know that one-sentence test. I mean, that was our college entrance exam. And so the one-sentence test was, Old MacDonald had a blank. And so, you know, there were a couple guys in front of me, and one guy asked the guy, well, what's the answer? The other guy said, I can't believe you don't know the answer. No, what's the answer? Well, the answer is farm. Oh, okay. So, probably like 20 seconds later, he asked the guy, well, how do you spell farm? I can't believe you don't know how to spell farm. No, how do you spell it? He said, well, it's spelled E-I-E-I-O. Now, those guys didn't get into Penn State. I think they went to Ohio State or somewhere like that. So. But then from Penn State, then as you know, I was drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it's been an unbelievable 40 years since I've gone to Pittsburgh. It's hard to believe I went there 40 years ago. So when you look at it, that in sports, as in life, how do you keep getting better? I mean, we all have these different stages, and so how do you just keep making it better? And in each one of those stages, how do you keep doing better? And by doing better, I mean, how do you keep doing things better for other people and for your community? See, personal growth at this stage of your life is not easy, especially today. I mean, you guys have so much coming at you and so much to absorb. It's coming at you in a lot of different ways. And expectations are great, and sometimes even greater. Because that's the thing now. I mean, when people, now when they go to play, people look at it, well, we have to do better than so-and-so. We have to achieve more than so-and-so. So there's so much going on. And there are these sayings. And the first part of the saying is, when we listen to the good, it will point you in the right direction. When you pay attention to the bad, it will push you in the wrong direction. And those are things that we have to face and deal with every day because there's so much going on. There's so much coming at you, so much stuff you have to hear. And what do you absorb and what do you push away? Those are very important choices. So when you look at all that stuff that's coming at you, how do you control the outcome of it? I mean, how do you yourself control your life when there's so much coming at you in so many different ways? How do you control the outcome of your life now? How do you take control of your life? I mean, a lot of us, when I look back, that, you know, we've had successes and we've had failures. We've had some good days and we've had some bad days. Sometimes we will be right. Sometimes we'll be wrong. So when you face all these things all the time, what will the outcome be? Because we all will have these things that we have to face at all times. And all of us will just have certain experiences, and in these experiences, that will affect how your life will go and the outcome of it. When I think back to high school, when I think about one of my first experiences of myself, I was in this race, this class race. So we had our 4 classes, and I was a senior, and I decided to participate, even though I played 3 different sports. I said, oh, I'll compete in this my senior year. And so it was more of a track competition. So I ran the 100, the 200, and then all of a sudden I decided, you know what, I'm going to run the 400 also. And I never ran the 400 before. And really not being that familiar with track, I lined up and I'm saying to myself, well, you know what, since it's 400, I mean, they're going to start off slow and they'll build up and all that sort of stuff, right? And so I'm trying to strategize here, really not knowing the strategy at the time. And so when the gun went off, people flew from the starting line, right? I mean, so going around that first bend, I see myself in last place. I say, oh my gosh. You know, Franco, you know, all the student bodies watching, you're in last place. I said, work your way up into the middle and try to get lost in the crowd so no one gets to see me and that sort of stuff, right? So at least I'm not in last place. So, you know, I work hard to get into the middle of the pack. And so about halfway through the race, I'm in the middle of the pack. And so as we start leaving the middle of the track, start to say, you know what? Start working your way to the front, Franco. Come on, you can start working your way to the front. So I said, okay. So here I am, working my way to the front, and I worked my way going into the beginning of that last turn into the front. And then when I get to the front, I see there's one guy like 10 yards ahead of me there, with who I didn't see, right? I'm saying, oh my gosh, Franco, what do you do now? Okay. I said, as a class, we have the race won. The race is won. And, you know, coming in second is not bad. You know, so I said, just hold your own, be steady. And so as we're running, and I tell you what, by that time, it's like slow motion. And, you know, you're giving everything you can. And so as we start to go into like the middle of that last bend in this 400, I said to myself, nah, go ahead and try to win. And so I start struggling, and I tell you what, struggling, and right at the finish line, I dove and I won. Now, I asked myself, if I would not have won that race, and if I come in second, would my life be different? You know what? I don't know. I mean, I have no clue. My life would be different. But, you know, you think about those kind of traits, you know. So, but, you know, they say that, you know, certain traits to be successful. And to be successful, they say you have to have intelligence, talent, and good looks. So who has all three of those? None of you? Oh my gosh. To really look at things that, what are your expectations and what are other people's expectations? And in that race, my expectations started out low. And by the end of that race, by pushing myself, my expectations changed. So that happens all along the way in many things that you do. And it doesn't matter where you start, guys. Someone would have told me that, hey, I would have accomplished what I would have accomplished. No way. So it's not where you start. It's how you deal with it along the way, and then what you want to do along the way, and the expectations along the way. So this is the start for you guys, and I want you to know that it is the start, because where we're at right now is a big and long life waiting for you and ready for you. So I could talk some more, but like I know that I guess it's supposed to be some questions and answers, which I look forward to having a discussion with you. And so I guess we will see what type of questions we have and then the answers with that. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I think that's a great analogy. Life is kind of like a track meet, you know, where you start out looking fairly equal at that starting block, and then as you turn that first bend, some drop back, some go forward, but to work and try and always succeed and go as far as you can go, as hard as you can go, that's the story I think Franco has just told you. I'm going to turn the program over now to Jerry Shockey, who is going to, first of all, acknowledge some of the schools that are joining us by video conferencing and kind of moderate the program so that we can talk about, again, Franco Harris and his success story and how it relates to your travel, your journey, your track meet through life. So at this point, let me introduce you to Jerry Shockey, who is going to take over the program and take it from here.
Good morning, everyone. I have to say, I certainly hope life is not like a track meet, because I'm finishing last every time, so unfortunately. But we certainly want to welcome everyone to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I'd like to echo some of Joe's sentiments and say that we're really proud to be able to offer this program to you guys, Heart of the Hall of Famer series featuring Pro Football Hall of Famer Franco Harris. And some of you have done this before. I know some of the teachers have been here before, but the real idea and premise behind this series is really to convey what it took to get in the Hall of Fame beyond just the athletic ability. And we know guys like Franco Harris are great examples of athleticism, but it took a lot more than that to get in the Hall of Fame. It took those core character qualities that you guys are studying, the 6 pillars, the trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship. It took those core qualities to get in here. And one thing that we said about most of our Hall of Famers, and Mr. Harris is a great, perfect example of that, is most of these guys have gone on to achieve even more success off the field. As you heard Joe outline in his bio, the businesses he's involved with, the charities that he volunteers with, he personifies many of those character qualities that you guys are studying. So we're excited to give you guys the opportunity to ask Mr. Harris, what obstacles did he face when he was junior, senior high? What character qualities do you think does it take to be a great person? All those types of questions. And I know you guys have some scheduled questions here, and we'll get to those just in a moment. But what I would like to do is recognize all the schools, not only tuning in through video conferencing, but those schools here on our live audience. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give your school a little shout out, and if you want to feel like giving a little shout back, I apologize to video conferencing schools. You're going to hear a little thunder in the background here for just a second. So my apologies to those tuning in from all across the country. But I would like to recognize those schools here. We believe I have the Multi-County Juvenile Detention Center, if you're there, folks there? Yeah. All right. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Should we try that again? Did I surprise you guys? Yeah. Okay, ready? Multi-County. Yeah. There we go. There we go. Okay. All right. Thank you. And we will go to St. Joan of Arc. Are you here? Where are you at? Lady Dragons in the house. I see the Dragons are in the house there. Let's go to, we'll have everyone. Is Plain Local here? What's going on? We also have McDonald High School in McDonald, Ohio. All right, McDonald. I like that. I like that. Thank you very much. Let's go to Ashtabula, Edgewood. I can't hear anymore. Let's go to Lehman Middle School, Canton, Ohio. And let's go to your fellow Cantonites. Let's go to Hartford. Maybe you can outdo them. Oh. Let's go a few more here. We've got Minerva High School. Thank you, Minerva, for being here. And the last two, we have Lisbon David High School. No? Do they not make it, maybe? Oh. Can we try that again? Lisbon. Woo! All right, at least let me know you're here. Thank you. And last but definitely not least, coming from kind of your way, you might have driven through it, Mr. Harris, on the way, but Youngstown, Ohio, do we have Chaffin Career Tech School here? Chaffin, maybe they're running behind, but thank you. Anybody? Okay. All right. Well, we'd also like to recognize...
Okay, how many Steeler fans we have here?
That's the important thing.
How many Brown fans we have here? Hey, that was a big win last week.
What we'll do is we're going to go to questions here in just a moment, but I would like to recognize the schools that are tuning in through video conferencing, which does remind me we need to keep you center here so the camera doesn't go everywhere. You can stand up, but just don't move too much. There must be that track in it. But the schools that are tuned in from all across the country, we have Murfreesboro, Tennessee School District. We have SUNY Educational Opportunity in Yonkers, New York. We have Sinking Springs Elementary in York, Pennsylvania. North Hills. Thank you. We will remind all the schools to please keep your microphones muted just so you're not distracting the other schools tuning in during the program, but we definitely appreciate the enthusiasm. We have North Hills Elementary in York, Pennsylvania. We have Holy Angels School in Dayton, Ohio. Clayton School District in Clayton, Wisconsin. Lorain County JVS in Oberlin, Ohio. Uniontown High School in Uniontown, Pennsylvania. Holy Family School in Lindsay, Nebraska. Poolville High School in Poolville, Texas. Lorraine High School in Lorraine, Ohio. And last but definitely not least, our good friends at Nye River Middle School there in Spotsylvania, Virginia. So we've got them all over the country for both of these sessions, and they have submitted questions as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to open things up to questions, and I'm going to call upon some of your schools have submitted questions, and I'm going to call upon that student to go ahead and stand up. We have microphones at the back. You see the white? There you go. Wave your hands there, volunteers. Let's first to give them a round of applause for all the help that they've been doing today. And there were a few people that I missed. Adam Shipley up front here is dealing with a lot of the schools. Adam, wave your hand up front. I know you're busy, but give him a round of applause as well. And then our coach back there. But what we're going to do is we're going to go to those questions. Please wait till you have the microphone in hand so that our video conferencing system can pick those up. And if we even have trouble here, we will repeat it for the video conferencing schools so they can hear the questions. And then I will be interjecting periodically throughout the program questions that the schools from across the country have submitted to us. Again, this is an awesome opportunity for you guys to ask some great questions. So I think the first question we'll start off on, and unfortunately McDonald High School did not submit a name to this, so I do not know which student it is. So I'm going to read the question. There's a couple different people, so I'm going to read the question and then stand up whoever actually submitted that question. So the question is, Mr. Harris, who is the most influential person in your life? What's your name? Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. So, who is the most influential person in your life?
Besides my parents and my family life, there were probably a couple in different aspects. When I was in 7th and 8th grade, there was this one teacher that really got us involved in doing things around the community. And, when you're growing up sometimes and you find out, because you think about your situation and you say, okay, well, our situation is X, 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 X. And then you find out that someone else's situation is worse than yours. And it's like, what? How could somebody be, worse off than us or this and that? And you look around and you say, wow, I guess in a way, we are fortunate. Even though things are tough for us, we're very fortunate. And so he got us involved in doing things for other people, and doing things to raise money for other people. And then also, he made us start raising money to do things for ourselves. Like I say, to have our dance or to go on a field trip and different things like that. So that really got to be a big influence on me at that stage of my life about getting involved in doing things for people, but also doing things for yourself. And I want to say that every stage of the way that, especially probably more high school and college, that my coaches and my teammates were definitely a big influence on me. In just a lot of aspects of growth and development and developing my talents. I never thought in high school that I would go to college. And in college, I never thought I'd be in the pros. But they were great parents. And with 9 kids, I mean, they did the best they can to provide for us, and then really, help guide us in certain ways. And so having that great parents like that really made a difference too in so many ways. But for a lot of us, that's we're fortunate to have that. But there are also so many outside influences outside my family that really helped me in my development. So in a roundabout way, where it's not one specific person, but I can say that overall that this one person did this and did that. For me, it was the accumulation of all of these people that really helped mold me and develop me into who I am today.
And I think so many times, when we think of peer pressure, we think of it negatively, but there can also be positive peer pressure. And Mr. Harris had a habit of surrounding himself with people that were going to make him better, challenge himself, whether on the field or off the field. So don't always think of peer pressure as a negative thing. It can obviously be a positive thing to help advance you in your life on and off the football field.
And I just want to say also that, there's always situations that you get into. And I have to look back and say sometimes I was lucky also, where you get in certain situations and it did not escalate into something more that could have really been negative. And there became a stage in my life when I was like 16, 17 years old, where I just decided, you know what? Nah, I want to go in a different direction. But all of us face situations where people try to draw you into certain bad things. And, in my neighborhood, there was a lot of that stuff. And I remember telling myself when I was very young, probably like around 11 years old or so, and, there were, people doing drugs and different things like that. At that age, I remember telling myself, you know what, Franco, don't do any of that type of stuff to where you become addicted. Because then this will control your life. I remember telling myself that. And so even to this day, I don't like drink coffee or, smoke a cigarette, none of that kind of stuff. I just said, you know what, I don't want any of this stuff to control my life. And so even some simple things that people did, I said, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to do this. But I just don't want it to control me, because it will control you. And then there are certain other people who try to control you. And eventually I just said, no, I don't really need this. And so I want to go a different direction. I tell you what, I found a new group of friends, and it was good.
Great, thank you very much. And we've got another question coming from St. Joan of Arc. Grace, where's Grace at from St. Joan of Arc? She submitted 2 questions. There's one about, I think, giving up. If you want to, microphone people, if you want to come up front, I'm sorry, volunteers.
Hello, Grace.
And speak clearly and hold that microphone right next to your mouth there.
Was there ever a time you wanted to give up?
Was there any time that I want to give up? That's a very interesting question. And I guess because all of us have these moments when we're challenged like that, and I guess I have a certain personality that when I'm faced in situations like that, it makes me stronger and it doesn't make me weaker. And I don't know how I developed that type of personality, but we all have some of these moments, and I tell people sometimes that one of the things I think that made a difference is when I was in the Senior Bowl, and so if you won the MVP offensive player of the game for your team, you were able to get $2,500. And I thought that was all the money in the world. I never heard of that much money before in my life. $2,500, like, oh my gosh. I could get $2,500 and be like, I will have everything. And so I really played hard, had a good game. The TV cameras came to me toward the end of the game and said, Franco, we want to interview you. I said, yes, I got it. Well, at the end of the game, the TV cameras never showed up. They gave it to the other running back. And I was like, I was really torn on that. I mean, that was not a good one. I was, really dejected, feeling bad, and all that sort of stuff. And I looked at it that this was wrong, and how could they do this, and all that sort of stuff. And then what's interesting is that probably about 10, 15 minutes later, I told myself, you know what, Franco, from now on, you don't give someone a choice on who's the best. And so I just turned it around. And I said, you don't give them a choice anymore. And I left that game, went back to Penn State, and I started working out like crazy. And my pro career is, really says it all on what happened with that. But very easily, I could have been disgusted. I could have said, the heck with this is not fair. And I turned that around in. And then also, even my rookie year with the Steelers, even though you mentioned that I won Rookie of the Year, well, it really didn't start out that way. And I do remember the first time playing the first exhibition game, and I'm back there for the kickoff, the kickoff return, me and another guy, first time on NFL field, and I said, I got spiritual, I said, oh, please God, don't let him kick the ball to me, And when that happens, you know what happens, right? You're always going to be tested. That ball came right to me. And so I ran up there, and I tell you what, I got hit so hard. I mean, I still remember that hit. That hit to me was the hardest of my whole career. And I said, oh my gosh, welcome to the NFL. And, but then beginning of my career, my rookie year, things weren't going that well. And I was kind of in the doghouse, Chuck Noll's doghouse, and I told myself, hey, keep working hard. And I played some, because of injuries, I started a couple games, and then they took me out, and I was in the doghouse, as I mentioned, and then I told myself, well, Franco, keep working hard. And then I said, the next time you go in, they will never take you out. The next time in sports, people get hurt, and I went in and got my first 100-yard game and my first touchdown. So we all have those moments when we want to give up. But luckily, I've never accepted those moments, and I've always fought through those moments, and I turn it around and say, okay, well, what can I do now to change things, make things better, make a different outcome? But I just always have had, that type of mentality for that sort of thing. So very good question, thank you.
And what's so important about not giving up is during that process is preparing yourself for when that opportunity arises, whether it's somebody getting hurt. A great example in the National Football League, you guys all know the name Aaron Rodgers. Look at the look at the stats that he's put up since he took over for Brett Favre. As soon as that opportunity came, following a legend like Brett Favre, that opportunity came, he prepared, he was ready, and the rest they say is history. He's gone on to, for about a year and a half, it's probably one of the greatest spurts of it for an NFL quarterback in NFL history. So those are definitely some things that to keep in mind. Let's go to...
And I want to say that, just follow up with that you never know when that moment's going to be. You never know. So when it comes, are you prepared and are you ready for it? That's going to be the thing. Because most of the time, everybody gets that moment. Everybody does. And it's what you do with that moment that will really start to make a difference.
And I think we have an interesting question from a school that tuned in through video conferencing, and I'll go ahead and ask that on their behalf. This is from Lorraine County JVS in Oberlin, Ohio, so just north of us, probably a room full of Browns fans possibly, some Steeler fans mixed in there. But this comes from Mike in Oberlin, and he asked, how can winning 4 Super Bowls affect your beliefs and character? I thought that was an interesting question.
Well, anytime, when you look at the 4 Super Bowls and you look at the characteristics that really got you there, and when you look at it, they talked about all the players that played in the NFL, how many really got to play in the Super Bowl? And we played in 4. And I said, wow, we are very, very, very lucky. Now, one of the things that it showed me is that, first of all, I always set the goal to go to the Super Bowl. And this is very interesting when I think about this, that never once in my career did I go into training camp and say, I want to be the league leading rusher. I never said that. I always said I would like to be in the top 5 in my conference every year. That was my goal, was to be in the top 5. But every year I went into training camp saying that I wanted to go to the Super Bowl. And that's quite an amazing thought that every year I wanted to go. And so it really kind of built that feeling of wanting to be the best as a team, and I wanted to contribute to this team, that I had to do my part for this team to really make that happen. And so all these things start to come together. Now I have to admit that once we won that first Super Bowl, I said, man, I love this. You know what I mean? It was like, wow, this is great to be the best. But also, one of the toughest things is that how do you stay the best? Because when you're the best, everybody comes at you. Everybody wants to take you down. That's the way things are sometimes. They want to take you down. And then we went the next year and won it again. And even though that was tougher, we had to work harder, we won it again. And then the next year, I think we should have won it, but injuries played a factor in that, or else we would have won 3 Super Bowls in a row. No doubt about that. So when you look at what this added to my life, and also I want to say it gave me new experiences to where I got to meet new people, got to go new places, because winning the Super Bowl just broadened my whole life experience in so many ways. And it helped me grow in so many ways and be exposed to so much more. So when those sort of things happen, it just grows you as a person and as a football player in a lot of ways.
Great, thank you. And we're going to go to one more question in the video conferencing audience, and then we're going to go next after that to St. Joan of Arc. I believe Chloe has a question about football preparing you. And we are going to go to, I thought this is another interesting question, from Clayton High School in Clayton, Wisconsin. And Jordan asked, could you talk about two players that were teammates of yours, about their character, that were from Wisconsin, center Mike Webster and running back Rocky Blyer?
Well, those are two great ones. And you're absolutely right, they are from Wisconsin.
Students did the research.
Also the actors that beat us in the Super Bowl from. But, you know what, Rocky Blyer has a heck of a story. And if you read anything about his story, it's quite amazing that what this guy accomplished with what he had and what he went through. And sometimes in life, you never know how things are going to turn out. And when I first got to the Steelers, heard about Rocky Blyer. He wasn't a starting running back, but he always gave his best. And when I was first there, heard about his Vietnam experience there, what happened there. And so I really thought, well, this guy is full of heart, full of determination, but, he might be limited in his ability. But watching him, he just kept working hard, and making things happen. My rookie year was 1972. So in 1974, 2 years later, I was hurt beginning of the season, and Rocky went in and played a little bit. And Rocky did well, even though he wasn't considered a starter at that time. And then when I got well, our backfield coach, Dick Hope, made a determination and said, you know what?